Get those reactions ready. The show is about to begin.
Yes.
Today is March 6th, 2023, and we are just 24 days away from opening day in the Bronx. But tonight, the Yankees welcomed the Pittsburgh Pirates into Tampa for a little bit of spring training baseball under the lights. My recap and your reactions coming up next. This is NYY Recaps.
Welcome.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
All right. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. Yankees were rocking the pinstripes under the lights tonight. You always love to see that. We're just a shade over 3 weeks from baseball that counts. And tonight, we had a number of interesting storylines to talk about. We had Volpe out there at shortstop. We had 3 guys who are battling for the left field job in the lineup as well: Hicks, Ortega, and Calhoun. Interesting that Calhoun was in center field and not Aaron Hicks, who's actually played center field for the Yankees as recently as last season. They're obviously trying to see what Ortega can give them as a potential fourth outfielder. They're going to play Oswaldo Cabrera out there on Wednesday to see what he can do in center field. He looked good in right field. Didn't look as good in left field, but I think a lot of that was positioning, but I'm anxious to see how he does out there in center field. Things got off to kind of an ominous start for Aaron Hicks tonight. First play of the game, routine fly ball down the left field line. Maybe not quite routine, but a major leaguer has to catch that, and he dropped it.
We spend $250 billion a year on defense.
Just awful first play of the game. But he made up for it. He had a good night at the plate, went 2 for 3. Domingo Germán was on the mound for the Yankees. He picked up Hicks by getting the next batter to bounce into a nice 3-6 double play.
Double kill.
Nice tag by Volpe there. Domingo was good tonight. Had the high fastball working. He had the curveball working. Jack Curry said that the curveball looked like it was in mid-season form. I have to push back just a little bit on that. We've seen it better. His rhythm was good, though. He's one of those guys I don't think is going to be affected by the pitch clock at all because he works quickly. And guys who naturally work quickly, this pitch clock is going to be advantageous to them because they're used to it. Those guys who kind of mill around the mound and take forever to throw a pitch, they're going to have trouble speeding up their rhythm. Final line on Domingo Germán: 3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. Lot to like about that performance from a Domingo. Volpe was in there. Some good and some bad mixed in tonight. First of all, he made a very nice play. You're seeing it on your screen now. It was a chopper over the mound. He had to come in on it. Made a nice quick transfer and a nice throw. He also picked up a base hit, but immediately got picked off. So, hey, look. Those are just the growing pains that you're going to have to get used to. But he did have a couple of walks, so he was on base a few times tonight. As I mentioned, hit a line drive. You love the contact ability. He's already shown some power this spring. I thought he's done a nice job at shortstop. There was a play on a pickoff that was, kind of a little bit of a high throw from Domingo, but it ricocheted off of Volpe's glove and allowed a runner to get to third. It probably could have been made, probably should be made at the major league level, but look, we can't expect everybody to be perfect from day one, and especially in spring training. So overall, I'm pretty happy with what I saw from Volpe tonight, minus a few little things here or there. Let's see here. Jose Trevino knocked in the first run of the game with an inside-out single to right field. He's looked pretty good this spring so far. Andrew says it's been too long since he's here. Welcome back, Andrew. Welcome back. I think coming into camp as the starting catcher and as a recent Platinum Glove winner, his confidence is at an all-time high for his career. And I think that Jose Trevino is pretty much lined up to have a better season this year than he had last year. I don't think he was necessarily ready to have a full season as the starting catcher. I think he kind of wore down the stretch. But now that he's known that he's going into the season as the primary catcher, you better believe he's in shape. He looks great. He looks relaxed. And I'm loving what I'm seeing from Jose Trevino. A sip of water here. So speaking of comfortable, Aaron Judge looked pretty comfortable tonight in the box. Smoked a 3-run home run.
That ball is high. It is far. It is gone.
Opposite field. Didn't necessarily hit it all that great. But, got enough of it. He's just one of those guys. He's going to do that. He's so strong that he can hit a routine fly ball and it's going to carry out of the ballpark. By the way, rocking the Aaron Judge hat, and you're seeing the Aaron Judge stuff on your screen. Got a whole bunch of new Aaron Judge merch in the store. Link is in the profile. But look, I'm just comfortable with how Aaron Judge is approaching this spring. Just stay healthy, get your work in, and come out swinging on March 30th. We got to see our old friend Miguel Andujar today with the Pirates. He smoked a double down the left field line. Very typical Miggy double, just a rope. He's one of those guys that I'm going to root for no matter what team he's on. Just a Yankee from the start. Career was kind of interrupted with that shoulder injury. But he works hard. He plays hard. He's a fun personality. I love his swing. And I'm just rooting for him to do well in Pittsburgh. I think the kid deserves a chance to play and to play every day. And I think he will hit. Now, the jury's out on his defense where he's going to play. But I'd like to think that if you hit, they'll find someplace for you to play, especially in the age of the DH everywhere. So I'm just rooting hard for Miguel Andujar. Aaron Hicks swung the bat pretty well tonight. I think it's interesting that he's made that correction or at least that adjustment to his swing where he's using two hands on his follow through now. In case you missed it, he's gone from the one-handed follow through to a two-handed one. We talked about it on the last show. That usually indicates kind of a fundamentally different approach to the swing at large. And so far, so good. I mean, he looked good tonight. He's hitting, I think, 385 for the spring. So, hey, look, keep it up, big man. And if he wins the job, I'll root for him, and I'll credit him for making those mechanical adjustments. I want to see him keep it up, though. I think if he continues to play at the level he's played so far this spring, just given his salary, I think he's a lock to play to start in left field on opening day. Although, Oswaldo Cabrera does have a couple of home runs this spring, so we'll see. We got to see Everson Pereira play in this game. I thought he had a very nice piece of hitting to take the ball the other way for a base hit. He also made a nice catch on kind of a tough play in right field. You see it there, kind of spinning. The ball was either slicing or maybe just hit right at him, and he had trouble picking up the spin, but he crashed into the wall, made a nice catch. We saw Dominguez tonight. You just saw his single. He didn't start, but he pinch ran in the 5th inning, got a couple of at-bats. He was 1 for 2, smoked a base hit in the bottom of the 8th. He looks a little shaky in the outfield on his routes, I'm not going to lie, but his swing is fantastic from both sides. And he's got right now this spring what you would call a late afternoon batting average. He is hitting .429. Anyway, Yankees win this one, going away.
Ball game over. Yankees win. Yankees win. You're a winner.
And for the first time of hopefully about 80 times this year, we got an Aaron Judge home run. And so he picks up his first belt of the year.
Let's go. Belt winner.
Scripted Network says he can't keep dropping outfield balls. That's inexcusable. I'm not sure if you're talking about Aaron Hicks there. I assume you are. As a veteran outfielder, you really do need to be able to catch that baseball. But, we can't overlook the fact that this is spring training. And so the lighting at these ballparks isn't necessarily great. The lights don't go up, I don't think, as high as they do at Yankee Stadium, just because at Yankee Stadium, you've got the triple deck. And at pretty much every major league park, you got the triple deck. So on a high pop-up like that, where the ball gets kind of above the lights, it can just kind of look like a little gray streak in the sky. And, that's tough, no matter who you are. I mean, you're a major league player or not. It's just a tough ball to judge. Also, you factor in wind, and you factor in the fact that Aaron Hicks just isn't very good. Epic says, why couldn't Hicks make those adjustments in the second half of 22? It's a fair question or a question you make. I'd assume it's probably because it takes a long time to implement. It's probably something that he started working on immediately after the season. It might even be something that they suggested to him or that he worked on throughout the season and just didn't decide to start doing in games. The fact is his swing last year was just kind of an unfolded lawn chair, just awful all year long. No pop whatsoever. I think he hit about 216. So he needed to do something. He needed to make that adjustment. We're going to go to the box score here in just a second and take a look at how things shook out. Let's get rid of this video here. All right. So final score, as you see, 9-2. Domingo Germán gets the win. He's got a 1.69 ERA so far this spring. Pretty impressive. Not a lot of innings, not a big sample size, but, looking good. DJ LeMahieu, 2 for 3 tonight. He hit the ball well to right field. That's something you want to see from DJ. You want to see him driving the ball. You remember last year when he came back and tried to play through that foot injury, he just had no pop whatsoever. I mean, he just couldn't drive the baseball. But, this year, it appears as if, at least for now, that's back. Judge just 1 for 2 with 3 RBIs. Florial 1 for 2. He had, I think, 2 stolen bases maybe? Yeah. Florial had 2 stolen bases. He's got 4 this spring. All these guys who've been working with the pitch clock and things like that in the minor leagues and running wild are running wild this spring. Volpe's got 3 stolen bases so far. So, I mean, you look at some of these averages, the offense has been pretty good so far this spring. Even Donaldson's hitting 333. Rizzo hit the ball hard a couple of times tonight. He's hitting 375. Volpe's at 353. Hicks, 385. Calhoun hitting 571. He had 2 hits tonight. He's making a case for himself. And Dominguez, as we mentioned, hitting 429. Looking very, very impressive, especially at the plate. Needs a little bit of work on defense. Frankie says 4-way tie for the belt leaderboard in spring training. Well, we haven't had many games yet. 4-way tie at 1. I think when it's all said and done, Judge usually hits spring training pitching pretty well. I think he's going to get a couple more belts, but we're only going to do about probably 3 or 4 more spring training games. As coverage kind of waxes and wanes, there's usually a lot of games on TV at the beginning of spring, and then in the middle, they don't put a ton of them on, maybe, once or twice a week. And then at the end, they'll usually have a couple of games on. Usually, major league teams, on the last day of spring training, will play a game in a major league ballpark. I don't know if that's going to happen this year. Andrew, with a membership, appreciate that. Let me go ahead and give you. Laura's a big fan of Dominguez's swing. I am too. I think it's very compact. From both sides of the plate, he's got pop. It's not 100% level. It's slightly upward, which is what you want, because then you get a little bit of backspin. He's got bat speed. One guy whose bat speed really impressed me tonight was Everson Pereira. That guy can really throw his hands. He seems to be kind of a wrist hitter. I'm anxious to see what he does as his minor league career continues to develop. He's had some trouble with injuries, but he's also put up some big numbers in the minor leagues. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Pereira can do. Let's see here. James Bryn says, I want Jason.
Absolutely, hey.
So I had this mini conversation on Twitter tonight with somebody. Just how crazy would it be, if it somehow shook out that you had at some point this season Jason in left field, Volpe at short or second or third, wherever, and Peraza filling up, wherever Volpe's not playing. Just having those three guys mixed in with the veterans who are trying to win. That's kind of how the late 90s teams were. That you had the veterans like Tino Martinez and Paul O'Neill, Chuck Knobloch, guys who had been through it a bit. And then you had the guys coming up, the Jeters, the Riveras, the Andy Pettits, and they were coming up right as these other guys were getting to the point in their career where they were really starting to get anxious to win a championship, or in O'Neill's case or Knobloch's case, another championship. At a certain point, once you get paid, there's really nothing to play for except championship and your legacy. And I've always thought it's good to have young players who are blossoming right as a group of older players is trying to win that championship. You got Stanton's never won a World Series. Obviously, Judge never won a World Series. Bader's at the point now where he's been around a bit. He wants to win. I think you got potential for some of the right kind of attitude to wear off on these guys. I mean, look at that swing from Dominguez. The guy and the guy's just built like a ton of bricks. Unreal. Johnny Pinkney says, we need a couple of arms now. It concerns me a little bit that Tommy Kahnle, we should have mentioned this earlier, has a little bit of bicep tendonitis. He's going to be shut down for a bit. He's going to be a key part of the bullpen. They signed him as one of their very few moves that they made this winter. They brought in Rodon, they brought back Judge, and they signed Tommy Kahnle, but they didn't really do much else. So you really need to get something out of Tommy Kahnle. Don't forget, Scott Efros, out for the season. Tommy John surgery. Laura V says, DJ looks good.
Absolutely. Hey.
Oh, man, that Taco Bell sound is loud. I had no idea it was so loud. All right, let's see here. Yeah, Frankie says March Madness might be the reason they don't broadcast much in the middle. That makes sense. There's a lot of media covering March Madness. A lot of resources dedicated to that. It's a huge thing in North Carolina, where I'm at. People just get obsessed with that. I've never been a big college basketball fan. I mean, I enjoy going to a couple of games. I like the team spirit type of thing. But I'm more of a pro fan. I like professional sports, The problem with watching college sports to me is that you get attached to a player, and by the time they're good, they're gone. Their junior year, they have a good year, they're gone. They're not even around for their senior year. So, I've always been a pro guy. I like to watch a guy's career progress. And really an athlete's best years typically ages, in these days, ages 23 through 27. And, those years where guys are performing at their peak, they're in the pros. Sam G, with an excellent point, says, offense is much better when DJ hits. Excellent table setter.
Since when did you get so smart?
Let's see here. Scripted says, didn't know Peraza was hurt. I didn't hear Peraza was hurt. Is he hurt? I didn't hear that. I know he got hit by a pitch, but it is what it is. I hope he's back in there soon. I hadn't heard that. If they mentioned it on the broadcast, then I must have missed that. But I do know he got hit by a pitch a couple of days ago. So, anyway, Volpe's look great. So if it ends up that, Peraza falls behind a little bit, maybe Volpe does crack the opening day lineup. Epic Warrior says, Ortega going to be a Ricky Leday type on the bench. Ricky Leday was a fun player. He was projected to be a Mattingly. It's always, the prospect is always the next somebody. And they projected him as the next Mattingly. And they said he had light tower power like Darryl Strawberry. He ended up just being an average replacement level player, but he had some big hits for the Yankees, especially 1998 World Series. Jack Curry, I've been chatting with him. He's going to come on the show at some point and talk about his book. He's got a book coming out about the 1998 Yankees. I think it's just called the 1998 Yankees. Greatest team, in my opinion, of all time. Hard to believe it's been 25 years. Christopher Durazio says, Hoke said toe, very minor. All right, day to day. So that's good news. Good news. I hadn't heard that. I honestly hadn't heard that. So, anyway, everything's looking good. Oh, yeah, Frankie brings up a great point about Leday. Says, didn't he make a great catch in David Cohn's perfect game? Yes. So, they say in pretty much every perfect game, there's a great play. During David Wells' perfect game, it was Chuck Knobloch. He knocked one down. And he was having all sorts of throwing problems at that time. And there was a hard hit ball, and he knocked it down and made a strong throw to first base. And then Leday, it was a line drive to left field, and it kind of hung up there in the shirts. Now, keep in mind, this is July. And the ball was kind of knuckling, and he, was trying to keep an eye on it, and he ended up making a basket catch because he just saw it at the last second. So just that little instant reaction was the difference between a perfect game and a possible no-hitter with an error by the left fielder. But, yeah.
Game over, man. It's game over.
Yanks made this one look easy. I love the post games, guys. I miss doing them. Got something fun happening this weekend.
You gotta go.
So Pete from NYY News TV is coming to my house. We're going to film. I do a podcast with him called Designated Spittas on his channel. And we're going to film it. First ever 2-person podcast that I'm filming in my studio. We got a whole nother setup in there. It's kind of, I don't know if you watched the podcast Club Random with Bill Maher. It's pretty funny. I've kind of got the same kind of setup here where it's dark and there's a lot of random stuff on the walls, provide conversational pieces and things like that. So it should be a pretty fun episode. And I'd imagine you guys will see that on Sunday. But I appreciate it, and I will see you when I see you.
Hey everybody, if you've made it this far, we thank you. If you'd like to support NYY Recaps, please like and subscribe or pay a visit to our Shopify store for some great Yankees merch.
Yes.
If you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the description. But if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, just visit NYYRecaps.shop. If you really want to support NYY Recaps and help keep the show going year after year, join up as a member.
Join us.
It's $5. And members get their names up in lights during each post-game show. We're also on all podcast platforms, Instagram, and Twitch this year. So give us a follow if you use any of those platforms. We're expanding, and we have you to thank for making this such a great community. We'll see you next time.
It is your destiny.
Case closed.
Ball game over.
Most impressive.